We were born ready. I said, Arnold, are you ready? He said, born ready. Well, here we are, gentlemen. Just give you a couple of minutes. Why don't you all just move in and just take up the seats? Don't worry about seat numbers or anything. Let's just come forward and pack it in. Everyone gets a better seat. If they're late, to hell with them. They shouldn't have slept in. Arnold and I were talking about it before. We don't like people that sleep in. Is that right, Arnold? Where does sleeping in get you?
Just remember rule number 1, break the rule. Okay, so whatever your seat is, just change it. Move forward, all the way forward.
You can't come into the press area, sorry. Anywhere but the front row. We can't do that.
All the way forward.
That's really breaking the rules.
That's
changing
to the
the
center.
game.
Come to the center.
Come to the middle.
Yeah.
Not the front row where the media are, but into the middle. Up here, straight ahead, so we can interact and you can ask us some good questions. I hope you thought up some good questions because last year they were a little shitty. You know, while you take your seats, I just got to say, don't sleep in. If you snooze, you lose. So if you thought you bought a ticket in the front and couldn't get up, bad luck. We've already been out for a bike ride this morning, aren't we? We had a late night, but still got up and did our exercise. We took over the streets of Melbourne again, and you'll all be happy to know, and the police and government and the idiots in the media will be happy to know he wore a helmet today.
It's okay. I wore my helmet. It was just as much fun riding the bike. It is such a beautiful city, and it is just riding along the river was absolutely gorgeous. And the day did a marathon or some kind of a race here, so we had to get around all that. But we got an hour of good exercise, then we had some good breakfast. But it's a good way of starting the day.
It's fantastic.
It's some exercise. Yeah, and I'm sure that when I look around here, each and every one of you already had your exercise, right? Uh-oh, there's some really doubtful eyes here in the front.
I think
all right, well, we'll forgive you. This is just, it's Sunday.
And for a lot of them, this is a big trip for the year. They come to Melbourne, they enjoy our restaurants and bars and clubs. And who went out drinking last night? Anyone? Good. So you should. Sometimes you've got to relax. Look, we've had a fantastic start to the weekend. We've still got people streaming in, so we'll give them a chance to get a seat before we get too serious. But we'd never get too serious. You know that. Who was here for the Arnold Classic last night? Hey? What a night. I hope you all enjoyed the performance of the athletes last night. The posing was fantastic. How good were the fitness girls? Incredible. Incredible. You know, it's a big credit to Bob Lorimer, our business partner, because he's kept fitness alive and he's insisted at every Arnold Classic that we have women's fitness. Now, last year we already had figure and bikini locked in because of our history with the Australian Pro. He said the first one you add has to be fitness. When he went to Brazil, fitness.
Hey, you can put the sign down, okay, because people want to see. Plus, I don't have my glasses, so I cannot read it anyway.
And, of course, we love the fitness because it's entertaining. And really, at the end of the day, we provide entertainment. We want people to have fun and have a good time, for the shows to run hard and fast. But they were just amazing last night, Oksana Grishina. You know, before she comes out, I see her backstage at all the shows and get to interview her. And she actually becomes her character. She gets right into, maybe she'll get into acting like you, because she becomes this character. And last year it was the Black Swan, and then last night it was Michael Jackson. And you can't go near her. She's psyching up. She's like in a trance. And then she comes out and becomes this amazing performer.
Well, why don't you just say I'm in love with her? Just say it the way it is. I mean, the way you're going on here, it's a little bit beyond an organizer's dialogue.
You think?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's a little bit
type?
over the top. I mean, the way she's getting into character and how wonderful she is backstage and the great back rub she gives you before she comes out and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's a little bit too far. Okay?
I didn't mention her butt. Well, Arnold, we're here for the Arnold Sport Fitness Weekend, the Arnold Classic, and it's become a fitness crusade all over the world. 40 years ago when you started out, trying to get gymnasiums to open up, trying to get people to exercise, they all thought you were a little weird and you couldn't find a gym in any town that you went to or anything like that. And now everywhere we go, there's gyms, particularly hotels. You must have seen some incredible changes in the fitness industry, largely due to yourself over this time.
Well, I think that what was interesting was that in the beginning, in the late 60s and early 70s, which of course most of you were not born yet, but I really struggled in popularizing bodybuilding. And the reason was because there was just too many people that were violently against it. I mean, they felt like, working out was the worst thing and lifting weights was the worst thing. The medical community thought that you're going to get heart attacks and you're going to wipe out early. It's not good for your health. The athletic community thought that if you train with weights, you get muscle bound, the athletes will get slow and it will really hinder their performance. And there were others that came to the gymnasium because they were mirrors. They thought that we were all narcissists, and this is just leads to narcissism. And others thought that you would definitely turn gay right away when you go into the weight room and taking showers with the boys and all that. And so it was kind of like this weird attitude. And so we really, I remember that we systematically went forward with finding really great writers and photographers, and they did the book Pumping Iron. And that book became a huge hit. It was the first time that the people nationally in America and internationally saw what bodybuilding was all about. Then we followed it up, because the book was so successful, with the movie Pumping Iron. And the movie was, a #1 hit, and it was the most popular documentary, sports documentary. And it was an immediate hit, and we won Cannes at the film festivals and traveled around the world. And it was really the first time that we really launched a systematic kind of a campaign and a crusade to popularize bodybuilding. And, we went through all kinds of headaches and obstacles, but whenever the people said that it can't be done and you can't legitimize the sport, we did not listen to the naysayers, because we have heard the naysayers too many times. And, I feel like what Nelson Mandela says, everything is possible as soon as someone does it. Before then, everything is impossible. And, I just felt like that bodybuilding could become a popular activity. And so we just really ground it out, and we just went from country to country. I held seminars, had lectures about bodybuilding at universities all around the world, wrote books on fitness, and it really became more and more popular. And now, 40 years later, everything is totally different than it was when I started. I mean, now the medical community has totally embraced weight training. We even have in hospitals weight resistance equipment for rehabilitation. I mean, for every kind of illness, people are using weight resistance training. You can go now to any hotel in the world where you see gymnasiums. No matter which hotel, if it's in Africa, if it is in Europe, if it's in Asia, in Australia, wherever you go, you find a weight room in a hotel. And every university now has huge, gigantic weight rooms. Every military base has huge, gigantic weight rooms. When I visited our military, the men and women around the world, I saw that the most gigantic gyms with hundreds of bench press benches and hundreds of life cycles and ellipticals and barbells, free weights and all that stuff. It's really amazing. Every fire station, every high school you travel around has now weight rooms. So it is the most important thing for every athlete now in the world to use weight resistance training to improve their body. Even my buddies in Austria, when I visit them, the ski champions, when they get ready for the race, I mean, those guys are all squatting with 400 pounds, and they're doing leg curls with 280 pounds, and just gigantic amount of weights that they lift. So it's great to really see that. And so I think our fitness crusade has come a long way, and we still have a long way to go, but I guarantee you bodybuilding is going to be in the Olympics. Bodybuilding is going to be up there with all the other sports, so we are very well on our way. And the key thing now is for all of us to work together in order to make this sport a very popular sport and an inclusive sport.
We talked a lot about that yesterday, about spreading the word and doing our job as fitness professionals, because it's very easy, just to give shit to a fat person and write them off and not to encourage them, to almost be cruel. But sometimes somebody just needs some encouragement, and somebody that does train to say, hey, come and try it. Maybe in 1 week you'll start to love it. As Arnold said last night, someone who's disabled or mentally challenged, to be able to go to the gym and to open up your doors and say it's for everyone. And the kids, it was interesting, we said yesterday about how many gyms have a sign up, no one under 16 allowed in the gym. Well, that's crazy. They had this whole thing that was going to stunt your growth, and we know now genetically you're going to grow to whatever height you're going to grow. Weight training is not going to change your parenting. So how important that is.
I mean, I can tell you, just tell you quickly a little story, because I had no idea about Special Olympics or about people that are intellectually challenged or what they called then retarded people. Today we don't use that word anymore, we call it intellectually challenged. But I got an invitation from the University of Wisconsin to come up there. This was 1976. And to come up there and to help them to do a study on what effect it would have, what effect weight training would have on people that are intellectually challenged. So I said to myself, well, I don't know anything about this subject, but I'm going to go up and I'm going to work with them because I want to learn about it too. And so I went up there for 3 days. And I remember they had in that weight room at that university 20 people that were mentally handicapped. And they were standing in line there, and they said, oh, let's try a simple exercise. Let's try bench press. So we had an empty bar, and I had one after the next lie down on that bench and to just lift the empty weight. I just lifted the barbell on top of them, and they did the bench press. And then all of a sudden, the fifth guy in line, he laid down, and as soon as I put the bar above him, he started freaking out. And he started screaming and getting all nervous, and he jumped back up again, and he said, no, I'm afraid, I don't want to have this bar above me. So I said, no problem. I said, I had to improvise very quickly there because, like I said, I didn't know anything about how to deal with these guys. And so I said, why don't you just stand there, relax? I said, just watch your other friends do it. And so we went through the whole line. So then after that, we put on 10-pound plates on each side. And again, they all went through the weights and they did the pressing, the bench press. And then when the last guy was on, he said, let me try again. So he tried again with the empty bar. And he did then 5 reps. So I said to him, keep the bar on your chest. Let me put 2 plates on it. So I put 2 10-pound plates on it, and he did another 5 reps. Then I said, you want to try another 10-pound plate? And he went like this. So I put another 10-pound plate on each side, and he did another 5 reps. And then I took the weight off, and he jumped up, and he was all enthusiastic and all excited. So we did this 5, 6 more times like this, and then by the time it was over, he had like 90 pounds on the bar. And he did 10 reps with 90 pounds. And he was so excited. And he jumped around, and he saw the enthusiasm all day long. And then from then on, every exercise he did absolutely perfectly. So I saw in the shortest period of time how through weight resistance training, that guy gained confidence. Within minutes, he built his confidence. And so I saw that the kind of psychological impact that weight training can have and how it can build not only the body but also the confidence, and psychologically can build them up. And so the training program and our session there for 3 days became highly successful, how it improved their confidence, how it improved the happiness, and how much fun they had during these activities, that then later on they adopted it as a national activity. And then it became an international activity, and now the Special Olympics has it as an international sport, which is called powerlifting, where they have the bench press and the deadlift. They don't have the squat, but the bench press and the deadlift. And this is one of the most popular activities, and they really think that this has changed Special Olympics and also helped them for so many other sports. So it just shows you the impact that weight training has on areas that we don't even think about. And this is why I always say it is so important that we make an effort to reach out and to help anyone and everyone, because everyone should have the right to be healthy and to be fit and to be strong and to feel great in the gymnasium. But people have to have the access to the gymnasium. People have to have the access to equipment and stuff like that. So to me, those 3 days in 1976 were a crucial moment, and then they became the national coach for Special Olympics, and then later on the international coach for weight training for Special Olympics. And I learned a lot. As a matter of fact, I got inspired more by those kids, even though they always said to me, oh, Arnold, you are our great inspiration. But I actually was inspired more than they were by them watching them overcoming the obstacles and doing the weight training and building the bodies. And to see now power lifters in Special Olympics, they can lift 500 pounds. And you know how heavy of a weight that is. Yeah? So, I mean, it's really extraordinary stuff that you can see. So this is why I say bodybuilding is for everyone, and it has exploded, and so we just have to continue making it grow.
I think you're right. And sometimes the other sports don't give us credit, but they all want to have a six-pack. They do our exercise, eat our diets, and then when they win a 100-metre sprint, what do? They hit a pose.
Exactly.
So they'll want to be bodybuilders. Arnold, you have taken bodybuilding a long way, and obviously you've got this message of giving back, which is fantastic. And you said it's great to see these people having some fun. But what do you do for fun? Because we always talk about the movies and the bodybuilding, but let's talk a little bit about what you do outside when you're relaxing. You've got a tank, you've got some special vehicles, you like animals. Let's share a little bit of some of this stuff, because nobody knows some of the things outside of the stuff we see on TV.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think it's important to know that I have fun with everything I do. I mean, I think life is too short. We only have one round. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal. And so therefore, you better do the things that you really find joy in. I think when I look at the statistics and the studies, like in America, I don't know how it is in Australia, but in America, 74% of the people don't enjoy their work. I mean, that's a sad story, that your whole life long you go to work the factory, or to go to the police station, or you go to be a teacher or something, like whatever it is, and 74% of the people don't enjoy what they do. So to me, I've always done what I enjoyed. I loved being a bodybuilder. I loved being a bodybuilding champion, and to compete and to travel around the world and to do that. But as soon as I got kind of sick and tired of the whole thing, and it became old, I retired. And I took on the next challenge, which was acting. And it was not just acting to be in a movie, but to be a leading man. And I just, again, found great joy in the challenge of that, in the climb. There is something really appealing about climbing the mountain. Not sitting on top of the mountain is not always as much fun as climbing that mountain. And so to me, when everyone said that you can't do it, it's impossible, your name is too long, no one can pronounce it, and your accent is too thick, and no one will understand you, and no one ever has been a leading man in America with an accent, and of course your body is just too big, and just, so you look like a monster. You cannot be in movies, Dustin Hoffman and Woody Allen, those are the sex symbols now and all this kind of stuff. So it was, even though with all of those obstacles, I found great joy to just prove myself and to train and to work very hard on my acting and on my speech and accent removal and all English and all those kind of things, and work my way slowly up. And it took me 10 years. But after 10 years, I landed the role in Conan the Barbarian. And from then on, I knew that I'm going to be home free. I knew from then on I would get other action movies, because it was a highly successful movie and all that. And I had so much fun doing that, working my way up there, and then doing the movies. If it is working with Kirk Douglas in The Villain, or working with Jeff Bridges and Sally Fields in Stay Hungry, or doing the documentary Pumping Iron, or working with Lucille Ball in Happy Anniversary and Goodbye, which was a TV show where I had like a 7-minute part. Or to then do Conan the Barbarian, and to be there in Spain, and to swing the sword, and chop heads off, and ride around with the horse, and fight the wolf witch, and roll around naked through the fire with her and all this. I mean, it was all great stuff, So I had a great time doing that, and the whole struggle to the top to become the highest paid actor, it was all fun. So I always have fun, and I always find little things that bring joy to me. And even when I ran for governor, that to me was a fun thing to do, because I had a very clear vision that I could do a better job for California than all those political hacks that talk all this stupid dialogue and promise things that they never deliver. And I felt like that I can bring everyone together, both of the parties, Democrats and Republicans, and really solve some of the problems, which we did. So I find joy in all of those things. So I don't have to go and say, okay, I did my work now let me have some fun. I have great fun and great joy while I'm doing my work. For instance, when I'm standing up here and I was taking pictures with you guys, I have a great time doing that. To me, it's not like where Tony says, oh, by the way, Arnold, before we do this seminar here, you got to go and take 100 pictures. Bear with me. I mean, this is just something that we promised the guys and stuff. So I don't operate like that. I have a great time standing there. Everyone says hi. Girls give me a nice little hug, which is always good early in the morning. It's kind of a wake up. And the guys are all looking pumped up, and they stand in front of you, they're flexing their pecs and stuff like that, taking the pictures. So that's funny. And so I'm having a great time doing that, and everyone is going through, and I see the joy in their face. Some of them have never met me, and they think this is really great. And I totally understand that, because remember that I remember so well in 1966 when I met Reg Park for the first time, and he stood there, and he had me take a picture with him. It was more complicated than to take a picture because he didn't have a cell phone or anything like that. So we found someone with a camera around that took a picture. But he was very gracious, Rich Park, and he was my idol. And then later on, he worked out with me in Wag Bennett's gym. And so I understand what this is like when someone comes up to me and there's someone that has idolized me and he wants to now take a picture. So I find great joy in that. So, then besides that, I do, like you said, I have a tank. I was a tank driver when I was in the Austrian army. And so we had this American tank, the M47. And so when I was 18 years old, between 18 and 19, I learned how to be a tank driver. Why they give the responsibility of a 50-ton monster tank to an 18-year-old, I don't know. But I had plenty of accidents, and I was plenty of times punished because of the crazy stuff that we did. But nevertheless, years after I was already in America, and I was then the chairman of the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports, and I worked with George H. Bush, and he was like, it was 1990. I met, then Colin Powell, and I met, Dick Cheney, who was that became later on vice president, and all those guys, and they helped me to get the permission to the Austrian government, because it's an American tank. And in 1955, the American government gave Austria and other countries American tanks that they didn't use anymore because of the Korean War now was over and everything. And so they just gave those tanks away. But they could not give now the tanks away again, the Austrians. So they had to ask the Americans for permission. So when I asked for the tank, they said, well, you got to get the permission from the Americans. And so anyway, I got it from Dick Cheney and from Colin Powell and those guys. And so I got the tank. So now the tank arrived. I had to refurbish it and everything like this, and now I'm driving it around, and we have these after-school programs, so I always promise kids, I said, the kids that are staying in school all the time, every single day between 3 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, that never miss school, I said, those kids, at the end of the year, you can come together, and we do a draw, and 100 of the kids, can go and ride the tank with me. And so we use it for all kinds of different reasons like that, for fundraising, for after-school programs, or just for fun, or to drive kids around like that. And so we have a great time. It works perfectly well, the tank, and I have, of course, a bunch of other military trucks and all this stuff. It's still kind of like something that is one of my loves is, all big military trucks and all this. So those are the kind of things I do for fun, or motorcycle riding, skiing, playing with my kids, traveling around with my kids. So there's so many things. I love chess playing. I play with the chess, with different people all the time. And I'm not that great in chess. You
still play with Franco?
Yeah, still play with Franco.
How's he going?
Yeah, he comes over to the house.
Still drinking?
Well, he the key thing is, if he drinks one glass of wine, he beats me. But after 3 glasses of wine, I beat him. So, I try to get to the 3 glasses very quickly. Yeah, he loves good Italian wine. Yes, absolutely.
You've always maintained your friendships and stayed loyal to those people. You met Franco and Albert Buzek like 50 years ago. I saw a little clip you put up on the Snapchat or Instagram or something a few weeks ago. It was like 50-year anniversary of your friendship. And you guys are still working out.
That's right. Franco and I, we met at a competition in Stuttgart, in Germany, in 1965, on October 31st, 1965. And Franco Colombo, he won the powerlifting championships that day. And I won the junior Mr. Europe, best built man of Europe in the junior division, which is below the age of 18. You couldn't be above 18. And so this is why it was important that when I was in the military, I just turned 18, I was in the military, and there was like a cutoff point there by end of this year. And after that, I could never compete again in the junior division. So I actually escaped from the military,
broke the rules.
Yeah, exactly. And went to Stuttgart and competed in the competition, won the competition. and then came back home with a trophy. So they were kind of confused. Should we punish him or should we celebrate his victory? So it was kind of a combination. First they punished me and I was in jail for 2 days. And then after that they celebrated my great victory and the trophy and all that stuff. So it was a fun thing to do, and I really enjoyed that.
And you and him moved to America. You brought him over
But
there
the funny thing about Franco was really literally the strongest guy that I've ever met, in pound for pound.
That's strong.
And it was that strong. I mean, it was unbelievable. This was only the beginning, 1965. Later on, by 1970, he was doing deadlift, 3 reps with 710 pounds. I remember because I did 1 rep, my record was 710 pounds, and he went to the bar in the gym and he did 3 reps with 710 pounds, and he weighed no more than 180 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was really amazing. He did lateral raises with 85s easily. He did behind the neck press with 315. I mean, he was really extraordinarily strong guy. So, but he always wanted to be what I was. He wanted to be a bodybuilding champion, and I always wanted to get stronger. So that's why he was a great training partner, because he eventually, we trained. I did his powerlifting training and he did my bodybuilding training. And I started winning powerlifting championships in Germany and in Austria and in Europe. And he started winning bodybuilding championships. And by 1970, he beat all the Americans and became Mr. Universe in the amateur division. And then later on, actually started creeping up on me and started trying to take the Mr. Olympia title from me. It was like year after year. He was like hanging right there like an Alabama tick. And, I couldn't get rid of him. He would say, I'm going to beat it this year. I'm going to beat it this year. So we were really good friends and lived together for 3 years and trained together and everything. So he was really a fantastic training partner all the time because he was so dedicated. And he had as much fire in the belly as I had, because we both were immigrants. He came from Italy to Germany. I came from Austria to Germany. And then we both moved to America. So we were immigrants, and we kind of like always were willing to do the struggle and the working hard. We did in the beginning bricklaying jobs when we went to America. I started the bricklaying company. I was always good in business, so I figured out, how much to charge for the various different jobs, building a chimney or building a patio or a wall. Even the day when you drive with your bicycle down to Venice, you will see various different walls around houses that are still in existence that Franco and I built 45 years ago.
Still standing.
It's still standing there, with our name engraved in it and all that stuff. So it's really wild. I mean, it looks a little decrepit. Actually, Frank and I, we talked about it, that we just, for the fun of it, we should go back and kind of fix the walls again and fix them up to show that we, that for lifelong we guarantee our work, kind of thing.
We talked about Pumping Iron and how that popularized bodybuilding. It really did. I mean, I think it's probably everybody here's favorite movie, right? I know we've all watched it 100 times. We can all do Arnold lines. But you know what's happened lately is all these kids have been coming to the gym going, hey, have you seen Pumping Iron? I'm like, ugh. No. But because of the Netflix and all these internet TV shows and cable networks now, you can stream Pumping Iron. So there's a whole new fan base of young people are now watching Pumping Iron. Oh, this movie's fantastic. I'm like, really? Yeah. And have you noticed that you're getting more young people starting to get it?
When the people that did Pumping Iron, George Butler, he at one point was interested way back, right after the movie came out, and it played, and it actually played out a few years after it came out in 1977. And then it was considered kind of done. And I felt like that there would be many other means to distribute it worldwide, that the technology has not yet matured. And so I bought the rights to Pumping Iron. And so now I own the rights right out. And so I went aggressively forward, and the various different means came available to go and show it again, if it's on television or satellite or on airplanes or whatever. We sold it. And so now it's being seen all the time. And it's one of those documentaries that has the longest life, and I think it's really still a means to really popularize bodybuilding and to show people and give them a little bit of insight of the sport of bodybuilding. So it's really been fantastic, the distribution that we had and the kind of making it available for people to see.